Alright, so this is the broken bits that we had happen to the baler. Yesterday I was on my way to Messick's and Joe called me and says, hey, I can't tie a knot. It won't tie a knot. It's giving me this code. So we got the code and it blew a fuse in. There's a panel up inside there that you're not supposed to open, but we opened it anyway because we're bad. And well, we're not bad, we just need to get shit done, and we can't have broken stuff if we can't get stuff done. You can't get stuff done if it's broken. So we took it apart and Joe realized there's a blown fuse. As I was on my way up there, I don't know what, did you guys tap this with a hammer?
No.
Well, there's hammer marks on that. You see those hammer marks? You guys, you're sure you didn't tap it with a hammer?
I didn't tap it with a hammer.
It was a small, you see those taps?
Yeah.
Somebody's hit that with a hammer. Well, that's strange. You know, all right. You know what's weird? I'm not going to say anything weird about Krone or anything, but this baler actually sat outside for 2 years. 2 years? It's a 17. I got it in the fall. It came in like January of 2017, and I got it in January of 18. So it's sat for a year. January of 17. It's sat for a year outside. And this could have seized up. They tapped it with a hammer, whatever. I don't know. I didn't tap it. I never had problems with this unit on the old one. But anyways, it stopped tying knots. You can go to work, Joe.
Well, I need to turn the baler on.
Well, then do it.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to interrupt.
You ain't gonna interrupt anything. What's the matter with you, huh? What's the matter with you, huh? A lot of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was on my way to Messick's, and Joe tells me, hey, this thing is not working. So I had him do some diagnostic stuff. I did not know that there was a relay on here, but finally, even if that relay was not functioning, it would not have blown the fuse. He blew 2 fuses, so pretty much we know that that motor, there's something wrong with it. So fortunately, it is 5 hours for me to go to Messick's from here. 5 hours. It's a long time. So I was already on my way up there when. Pull it all the way back, because if you lower that down, you can get to it easier.
That's the point.
So, anyways, I was already up there, and we went through the diagnostics, and the schematic said that there's a 30 amp fuse someplace on here, but I don't see one. I don't see a fusible link or anything, but the fuse that was in that box is only a 10 amp fuse. So he replaced the fuse, it did it again, and such is life. I got the new one. I put it in this morning. I will show you where that is, up here. Not a difficult thing. We just grabbed the entire unit because we weren't sure what the issue was. You can just buy the motor that goes onto that mount, but then you don't know if the relay's bad, so we just grabbed it. It's right here. That's it. Really simple. The 2 bolts are here. Bada bing, bada boom. And all that thing does is turn, and there's a wheel on the back side of that. And when that thing turns, and it does quickly, it just whoop, trips this guy here. This is your manual button here. You pull on that and that'll trip it manually. I've lubricated everything so they're running freely. The amount of dust that goes through this thing, I have been using WD-40 garage door lubricant. It has Teflon in it, and it seems to be loosening everything up. We were starting to have knotter issues. It was because the rollers on the needles were getting stiff, and the rollers on the tucker arms were getting stiff. So I used that garage door grease oil, and it worked. It penetrates and lubricates with Teflon and seems to be running freely. So anyway, so that was the saga there, and we did that. Plus we broke a spring, and I think they're in here. Let me see what I got here, Joe. We got those fancy pants springs. This little bastard, once upon a midnight summer's dream. That sounds naughty. Once upon a midnight summer's dream, I broke one of these, and I actually made it work with a rock. And you're probably wondering how the hell I did that, but I'm going to tell you. See, when the needle goes up, these springs actually are the tensioner springs, and they pull the string back down as the needle comes back down. Without any tension on there, it won't make the second knot. It'll make the first knot, but it will never make the second knot because there's no tension to put it into the twine discs.
And the snapped twine thing won't go off because that was just
this is broken and hanging from the string because there's a broken string sensor in the bottom. So what I did was I found a heavy rock, a heavy rock, and I wrapped it up with, it looked like something you would see on Xenia Warrior Princess, you know, a rock that's all wrapped up with string. And I tied it to the end of this little thing here so that when it would go up, the rock was heavy enough that it would pull it down and it would make the knots. And I actually baled about 50 bales with it like that. But when I did get these, I bought 6 of them. Well, over the years, and it's been 2 years ago, I guess, 2 or 3 years, 2 years ago, between the 2 balers, I finally went through 6 of these things. And so now I've bought 8 of them, and we've already put one in. And the reason it was breaking was because the rollers on the needles were seizing up, and it was creating an extraordinarily large amount of pressure, tension to pull them things up, because it wasn't rolling freely. It was just yanking on it. But yeah. So that's just the way that it was. Anyway, and I bought 50 new pickup tines because we're going to need those. That's what Joseph is going to be doing right now. Did you know that that settled down?
I put it down.
Oh, you put it down. Okay, good. Me and Teresa and William are going to go up and get some hydraulic oil because we're having an issue with the tractor. We're not really sure why it's doing it. I think I may need to... You know what I'm going to do? No, I can't do that. I may need to, yeah, I don't know. I may need to rebuild one of those selective control valves on that thing because it's dumping the oil whenever he lifts and lowers the header. And it's not much, it's just a spit of oil, but there's no reason for it. It's an overflow in there. But anyways, talked for 6 minutes, that's more than enough. I think you got enough information. Now we're on to the next. Through this controller on my ProAg Design bale stack wagon. Now, ProAg Design bale stack wagon, this is the Bale Runner 16K Plus. It is not the fastest stack wagon out there. Well, no, I'm wrong. It's not the fastest bale stacker out there. The truck mounted ones are faster. It is probably the fastest pull type. If you've ever seen a mill stack work, now watch, I'm going to see if I can do this without screwing up. If you've watched the mill stacks work, now that's a soft bale. That bale has got grass in it and it is a little bit wet. And, you know, sometimes you just can't help what you got. And that is the case here. If you watch this, this is all automatic. It does that automatically. It resets automatically. And it does not go all the way down automatically. I have to push the button and get it the rest of the way down. So what I've got is I got these outside rounds and I was asked to not leave them. There was some grass there. I was like, well, you know, I'm really baling grass. I'm baling corn fodder, but there was only maybe 4 bales here that had a little bit more grass in it than it should have had. The baler works really good. So anyway, there's 2 ways to operate this bale stack wagon. You can put it in auto mode, which I recommend 100%. Do not do it any other way. It is difficult because you have to actually go through 2 screens to do it manually. And even though you're doing it manually, there is still some automatic function to it. Timothy, when we first got this thing, or when I first bought this thing, he was the one to run it. And he refused, flat out refused. Now watch this, ready? All right, so I'm gonna come in there. Now watch, you see the spikes come out and grab it? I hope you saw that. Now those spikes are there. I'm gonna, because I'm doing this two-handed or one-handed, it's gonna take me twice as long. I'm going to spread them. I'm actually staggering them a little bit. I want the bale on top to actually be a little bit over the edge towards the bottom or towards the outer edge, and that makes it easier to stack. Now, this is an automatic function. Whoop, look at this. I almost ran into a bale. That comes back, and then I can do that. I'm not touching anything, and it swings directly behind the tractor. Of course, I was going to run into that bale, so I have to back it up. ProAg needs to come up with something like that to come with their with their stack wagons because that damn handle, there's no place to put it that it's not in the way. So what that is an old camera mount that Timothy had, or a cell phone mount that Timothy had. It's kind of flexible. So I stuck it up on there and it's in the right spot and it's out of the way. So, so that's really all I can really show you from the tractor seat as to the function of that stack wagon in picking bales up. If I had Timothy in here, which he is shredding right now, he could run it and I could film, or I could run it and Joe could film, but Joe is bailing. So yeah, we're doing pretty darn good, I'd say. I don't know what time it is right now, but we're closing in. I'm hoping to have 300 bales today. Yesterday was a failure day. We had, he only baled about 50, 60 bales. Maybe only, yeah, between 50 and 60 bales, because the motor that trips the knotters burned up. It stopped functioning and started blowing fuses. I have actually some long bales because of it. Joe seemed to think that it was a corn cob that got stuck in there, but the corn cob would have just caused it to blow the fuse. But the motors just stopped working. Totally stopped working. So I'm gonna shut you off and get to the pile, and then I'll see if I can show you how. Okay, so here's my pile. Let me get my. I'm gonna drop this into a lower range so I can steer and talk about this. So what I do is, let me turn it around here. Is I'll swing it out to the side when I come up to the pile. All right. So this is gonna get me aligned quicker if I swing it to the side. Now you don't really want to run into the pile. Now when it gets back there to the point where you may get her lined up enough, you just throw it into reverse, drop her back, and you really do steer to the pile with the tongue to get it straight. I'm hoping you can see this. I am not where I want to be. Now, oh, this is harder than it looks. Let me get that thing where it belongs. And up we go. Okay, so you go up. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this because when I stair step, is what they call stair stepping. When I do that, it actually makes the stack a little looser than I want it to be. So what I'll do is I'll get it up quite a ways, like about there, and then I'll release the arms and then re-squeeze. If you don't re-squeeze, the stack could run the risk of actually falling over, as silly as that may sound. Okay, so you want to put it all the way back. Once it's all the way back, that puts you into the push-off mode, and then on the machine, on the screen here, you throw it into manual load. Okay, so you hit manual load, and that changes the programs, and I can open, I push this button, which opens the arms a little bit, and maybe you can see that, see them moving around up there, and then I push the other one that drops the table without moving the arms. You do that, and that pulls the chains and everything out of the way. Then you go back into auto mode and you hit this button here, which does the push off, and that's a hydraulic cylinder that actually pushes the bales back. And then you hit this guy here in automatic mode and it will go through its automatic reset function. So I've hung it up there, see, hung it up there, and it's doing its thing. It will automatically reset to trail behind you. You can shift and do whatever you got to do. Doesn't matter. Once it comes down, it's going to say, oh, okay, I'm in transport mode now, and I'm transporting to the next set of bales. Now, hopefully that shows a rough idea about it. Now, I was saying that this is not the fastest stack wagon, but stacking, big bale stacking device. In my honest opinion, I think the Stinger 8500 is the fastest. Mill stack would be the second fastest. Now, I'm not going to knock mill stack. I've never liked the mill stack idea. I think there's too many working, moving parts in the mill stack versus the Stinger. And when I do buy another one of these things, I'm not getting rid of this. This thing works great. I love it. But to do the stuff out west, I'm going to get a Stinger 8500. At least that's the plan, because I will need to truck it long distances. Now, it's still a 12 bale wagon. It's very, very expensive. It's like close to, I think, $250,000 for that thing. This one here is about $100,000 if you get it at the right time. There's some incentives that can be had. I recommend, if you have two balers running, even one baler, this will keep up to one baler without any issues. Even if you're baling 4 ton to the acre material, it is going to do what you want it to do. Okay, it will do it with pride and very well. When you get into three balers, this is not going to, you're not going to keep up. You're not, especially 3 Krone balers. Maybe 3 Hestons, you'd have a chance. Had to get that Heston dig in there. And definitely, if you had 3 John Deeres, you would definitely be able to keep up with the 3 John Deeres with this machine. And not that John Deere makes a bad baler, just doesn't make a very fast one. So anyways, if you're going to run 2 balers, if you're starting out and you're going to run 2 balers, I'm running 2 balers. This thing is maxed out with 2 balers. And, you know, as you can see, 2 balers worth of material here, it's maxed out. I can't keep up. I can keep up, but I'm generally a day behind. Now, I had to run to Pennsylvania yesterday, which put me a day behind. Plus, I had work to do today, so I'm behind. Stacking. Now, because I can fly across the field with this, I'll be okay. And as you notice, I'm passing a bunch of bales over there to come to the back of the field, because it's better to go to the bales and then get the ones far away and work your way back to the opening of the field, to the road, so that you're not coming back full, because you can't come back full as fast as you can go empty. At least that's my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to shut it off and get on and the day before. But I got a feeling I'm going to catch up to them today. The problem is I got to make these really, really long runs from the front of this farm, which is way the heck over there, all the way around the corner. There's a field in the back that I haven't seen just yet, but there's quite a few bales here. It isn't perfect, you know. This corn was picked a long time ago, and as you can see, there's a lot of material that's just left there, and you know, it's only like 2 inches long, so it kind of goes through the pickup tines. You know, you can't get it all, and but that's okay, because it looks like we've got a fair amount. We baled over 300 bales yesterday. Joe had a great day, and I don't want to jinx it, but I think I'm far enough away from the baler that it can't hear me, and it's going to run just fine. Again, I'm on stacker duty. I don't have a problem with stacker duty at all. It's just fine. I don't mind. I actually kind of like it, because it's a challenge to see how many bales I can get into a pile, and I'm getting pretty proficient with the machine, and I can't say enough about this machine. I really like the ProAg Design Bale Runner 16K. It is excellent. It is let's put it this way. It is good for 2 balers. I think I've said this already. It's good for 2 balers. You're not going to keep up to 3, but you're going to keep up to 2 without too much issue at all. There's not going to be any issues keeping up to 2 of these balers with it. It's just a matter of, you have to have somebody that is proficient with the baler to do such a kingly task. And when I say a kingly task, it can be a real task to keep up. Now, once you start getting these long runs and you get farther and farther away from the baler or the balers,